Henderson, here to interview for Jefferson State FEC 223. And I'm just going to ask you a couple questions if you don't mind.
I'll be glad to answer those, Eric.
Okay. So when did you get into the funeral business?
I started in funeral service in about 1990 as a part-time visitation and on-call guy.
Okay.
And I was teaching school, and a friend of mine asked me in another county about helping out in the summer, so I did that, and I loved it and kept doing it when school started. And for about the next 3 years, I worked on my apprenticeship and took my funeral director's test. So in '93, I became licensed. And from that point on, it just
Kept going.
we kept going. Yeah, I really loved the funeral service, and I loved being able to do what I could do for people. So I changed careers midstream. So that was a big thing for me. It was very trying for a while, but it was worked out perfect.
Well, that's good. Let's see.
That's right, yeah.
All right. So how was your apprentice training?
It wasn't at all what apprenticeships are today. You were just there pretty much. Now, I didn't wash cars and cut grass and stuff like that, so that was a little different. I got to sit in a lot in embalmings. I didn't ever get to do a lot of embalmings there, but here, when I came on as an embalming apprenticeship, I did a lot of embalming. But as a funeral director, you sit around and listen and kept your mouth shut, pretty much, is what you did. But I tried to make an opportunity for my apprentices here to learn, have their hands on, and be involved in almost every aspect of the funeral business that they can.
That's good. Okay. So how has your experience been in the funeral business over the past year?
It's been wonderful. I mean, I can't complain. I was thinking back the other day, I couldn't change, or wouldn't change anything. The only thing that I would probably have changed if I could have, was I would have started this earlier, rather than, but all the things that I went through before I became a funeral service professional helped me have the skills that I needed to do what I do and do it well.
Okay, that's good. So how has the business of funeral profession changed since you started?
I think it changes on a moment by moment basis these days, but definitely. When I was in Clay County is where I was, at Benefield Funeral Home in Clay County, almost every funeral we had 50 to 100 sprays on it, so you don't see as many flowers today as you did back then. It was big time for the flower shops, but so that's changed a lot. The way people are doing services has changed. Of course, this year with COVID, it's changed even more.
Right.
But we have experienced a lot of different changes, the changes in disposition from burial to cremation. And even though we still do a lot of services with cremation, but it has changed people's attitudes about the way that they handle their deceased loved ones.
Yeah. Most definitely. Let's see. How have the laws changed since you became a funeral director?
Well, when I think quite a bit, because when I first became a funeral director, we had an inspection every year, but I think it was just somebody coming in signing a piece of paper saying they've been to your funeral home, basically, because things, they look, but don't think they really care. But as far as the funeral service laws, they become more stringent, and I think they expect more out of funeral homes and funeral service professionals to serve families. Of course, the pre-need laws, there was no pre-need law until 2002, so that's changed tremendously. And with cremation, and nobody can just run out and put up a crematory, so those laws have changed now, so that it's all controlled and all regulated, which I think to a certain extent is good. Well, we always try to abide by the law, so that's not a problem for us. We just try to do everything that the law requires us to do.
Right. Especially they're big on law school too.
Oh, yes, sir.
OSHA and everything.
Absolutely. Well, that's one thing that's changed. OSHA and FTC through the years has really made a difference in what we do.
Okay, that actually leads me into my next question.
Yeah.
How has OSHA changed since you started?
Well, I think one of the things that OSHA's done is protected the embalmer, because there for a while, and seen people go in the embalming room and embalm with nothing on other than, just their regular clothes. They didn't use gloves, they didn't use masks or anything like that. But now, our folks here always don all their personal protective equipment, we say it so much, but they have to wear all of that, no matter what the case is. It doesn't have to be a COVID case. We do it on every case. And I think those OSHA requirements have made us safer, and helped to provide a safer work environment for our embalmers, and that's gonna hopefully keep them around a lot longer.
I know they most definitely helped me on a few occasions. It weren't COVID.
So that's right.
Let's see. I know, COVID and everything, but as far as visitation, has that changed any?
Well, yeah, I think, through the years it has changed. When I started funeral service, every visitation was from 5 until 9. And everybody visited, here, not here at the other funeral home, from 5 until 9. When I came here, it was pretty much 5 to 8. You had a nighttime visitation for almost everybody. And now nighttime visitations are somewhat rare. Everybody's trying to do it all the same day. So I see some positives to that, but I also see it helping with preventing the community from participating in those visitation services, which I think is very helpful to a family.
Yeah. Well, I see people, they like to be around the community, but sometimes you just,
Right.
sometimes you just so.
That's right.
Okay, so what's your opinion on distance education?
Well, it's become a necessary evil because of COVID, but I say parts of it being advantageous and giving some opportunities to some people maybe that couldn't make the trip. It's probably helped funeral homes because they've got their students closer by. They don't have to make a trip to Birmingham or wherever they go to school. But I think that you guys that are having to do distance education are missing out on the camaraderie of the students, and I learned a lot from my fellow students. I learned a lot of things that I didn't need to know from my fellow students as well. So I would have not dared came back here with some of those things that I learned. But I've got friends that I went to school with, and that's been a long time ago, that I still have contact with. And if they have a need in our area, they call me, or Brian, that's our manager here. We went to school together, so they know us, they remember us. And I think you guys are missing out on some of that, even though it has to be. But I think distance education can be as effective as in person if the student applies themselves.
All right. Let's see. So, that's my next question. Okay, so speaking of things that you learned in school, what's something that you learned in school that you still continue to use in your career?
Oh man, there's a lot of things that I learned in school that I still use today. Of course, some people have different ideas about what school does. I think that the mortuary schools give you a good basis and understanding of the laws, the way things are supposed to be done. They give you a good guide. But your practical experience in the embalming labs and in your apprenticeship, that's where you really learn how to apply the things that you learned. So, pretty much everything. Dr. E will get a kick out of this. I learned how to fold a flag. As I still use that today. But the embalming, of course, every time I embalm, I learn something new. I pick up something, and I like to watch other embalmers embalm because I learn from them. I've got 5 different embalmers here, so we all learn from each other. And I've learned some tricks of the trade from them, and they've learned from me. Don't ever think you should have known everything, because that's not ever going to happen. You're going to continue to learn. The day I stop learning is the day I get in my box, and it's not to burn.
I've heard that though, but they say that's what they say. It's a practice because you're always learning.
It's a practice. You're always practicing, and the practice makes perfect.
Right.
But I think I've learned just about everything that I learned in school. I use almost on a daily basis, and so I think important for you guys to learn those things, those principles, and then come into the practice to pick them up and to hone those skills and get better and become really, truly professional funeral service professionals. So,
Yeah, listen, we do our best, we try to take care of everything that we can.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, but my final question, what quality or qualities do you think are important for a field director to have?
Oh, that's, there's several of those, but I think, one of the main ones, a funeral director needs to be a good listener. You need to listen to the families as they sit at the table with you. You need to listen, to, their situations, because everybody's different, every family's different. We can't do cookie cutter anymore, because, some families have different needs than they do others. And as an owner, I've found that the important thing for me to do is to listen to my staff, because they tell me what's good and what's bad, you know, what's working and what's not working. And if I listen to them, I run a better business. And so listening's important, integrity is important. If you tell somebody something, do it. You know, you got to be a person of integrity and honesty. Don't throw something out there, just to say something. You know, be sure that you can back it up, and be sure you're telling them the absolute truth about that. And if you're that way with people, and I made a lot of mistakes in my 30-some-odd years here, you know, in funeral service, but anytime I've made a mistake, if I've been truthful with that family, I've not had any problems with that. Never been sued, I'm knocking on wood, you know, anything like that. It's because we try to be upfront and transparent with people. And I made some mistakes before. I buried rings before, you know. Hadn't buried one, because that's the only one you're gonna do. Yeah, you know, it was my bad. I wasn't the one that was supposed to take it off, but it was my bad. It was my responsibility to say that it was to come off, and it didn't. So I just went directly to the widow and I said, listen, your husband's wedding band is still on, and if you want it, we will, with your permission, I'll disinter him and get it back tomorrow. I want the wedding ring. So we went right back the next day and got him up and got the wedding ring. So, but I mean, but she wasn't mad about it, you know, because I was truthful and transparent with her. And I said, we just failed to communicate. And if you are a person of integrity, you listen to what people say. You always are honest with them. You won't have any problems at all with dealing with the public. And there's some people that Jesus could please, you know?
Right.
So, but you're gonna do your best every time you walk out there to please them. But listening to them and being transparent and honest with them, I think goes a long way in pleasing families.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess those are all my questions. I appreciate you for your time.
You're very welcome. I'm proud of you and proud of what you're doing, and I know you're gonna be a wonderful funeral service professional one day.
Yes, sir. I hope so.